Welcome to the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast. You idiots, I'm just laughing at these clowns just trying to make faces at me in the background. On this episode of the ET Stand podcast, we are going to work out stop it, you idiots. We're going to try and work out what a dynasty is and if the Cronulla Sharks can ever build one of their own. We're just not content with one premier. These idiots in the background, I'm going to stop them from pulling faces at me. Let's just bring them in. That is Bulldogs Tears. Chris Kelly, who would you move?
Where do we start? I'm glad Boldo didn't grow up in Egypt times because that's a terrible looking pyramid. It would have fallen over and collapsed by now. And given that he just Googled the squad and put Matt Ikavalu in the bottom and he hasn't been there since half of last year, our pyramid would have fallen over.
He's still on the page.
The pyramid would have fallen over. You would have been missing a foundation piece and it's fallen over.
Maloney is still intercept. Away goes James Maloney. They're kicking him home, the Sharks fans. Maloney is there. Healy. It's Healy has scored on his departure day. Mitch Healy gets a try. The crowd have gone absolutely bereft.
In amongst all of that, Lats had an awesome story about how awesome this Finau guy was, and then Boldo concludes it with like, yeah, Finucane, how good is he? And everyone's like,
I don't even know who Finau is. I just assumed that Finau was the same guy as Finucane. Is that a different person? I didn't know that. Who the hell's Finau?
Wow. This is how flawed the tears are. He doesn't even know half the team.
Boldo.
This is where the tears bit comes into it.
I'm listening to the car going, did my stream just like skip 30 seconds or something? Like, no, it was just Boldo just playing along. But anyway.
Peachy, great ball to Campbell. He's away. Campbell to the 30-metre line. Now, Colin Best heading for the corner. Gets it back on the inside. Graham. And over. Nick Graham has scored. 4 minutes into the game. And it's away. Here they are. Pryor. Can he get it there? Yes, he can. Matt Pryor, an unlikely first try scorer for the Sharks.
Interesting enough that the North Bears are getting that desperate. They're talking about having a Pacific Bears team so they can sort of engulf those Pacific nations and sort of get that ball rolling where they think they can sort of, take on the Cook Islands and the Samoans and the Tongas and sort of make it their team. So PNG's to go for me.
I'm pretty convinced after that. All right, Franco, what do you got?
Mate, can I rebuttal that, or am I giving it a different answer?
Go for it. Enough arguments on this podcast. Come on,
you're going to throw out cans, and they're going to play out of cans.
Ever. That is the dumbest idea ever.
Townsend now calling the shots with Johnson off. They will go. Gallen, field goal. Paul Gallen, field goal. That is amazing. That is ridiculous. Away. It's back to Smith. Smith gets it away to Cronk. Cronk's got Corabetti with it. Have they got a chance here? Corabetti's put down. The siren sounds. Cronulla have won it. 14-12. You can turn the light out now.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence. elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast. Sing the song now. Not only did the Sharks beat the Warriors, but I can think of 5 million reasons why it's a great time to be a Cronulla Sharks fan. Welcome to the Stone Peak. No, not the Stone Peak. The ET Stand. Don't worry, it's still called the ET Stand, the Cronulla Sharks fans podcast, where we let our talking do the football. Please do hit the like and subscribe button to get notified of all of our videos on the ET Stand on YouTube. But also now, thanks to Franco giving me a really hard time, we're now on Spotify as well. So welcome to everyone who might be listening to us on Spotify. We'll just boot down the up Cronulla music. It was a great victory. On this episode, we're going to tell you about what we think we can ascertain from that $5 million donation from Michael Dorrell of Stone Peak. We'll look ahead to the Bulldogs clash in round 2. Lutz is going to give us his social roundup and join us shortly. The boys are going to make their prediction on Matt Williams, who is appearing on the hard quiz tomorrow night, Wednesday, 8 p.m, ABC. Be there or be squared. No spoilers, please, Matthew. I have a feeling you're going to blow it. So we're going to make our predictions on what's going to happen in that. And
so much faith. So much faith.
So much faith. And we'll do our Overreaction Tuesday just to round things off at the show. So welcome to our regular panelist, Franco, who was with us on the debrief on Friday night after the Warriors game. If you want to hear our download of the Warriors game, you can see it on YouTube. Williams, who's got a big week. And then, Chris, you've been a bit sick, mate. Are you feeling all right?
Yeah, feeling a bit better, thanks. A bit scratchy, but I'm glad Zach filled in for me and did a really fantastic job representing the family.
Oh, wasn't he
Very
terrific?
well, yeah.
Just one of the all-time great contributions to the ET Stand podcast, really, wasn't it? How good
Yeah,
was it?
we'll have to move our rating up to an M rating, I think, now on Spotify. Put a caveat at the start that it may be swearing involved. So,
Well, I
apologies,
did.
everyone.
You inherited your lag too, Kelly.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, the best was me saying to Zach, all right, you just give us your answer and then you talk, and then me just stopping. And then he just wouldn't talk. So, look, we tried to get him going. But look, it was a lot of fun Friday night. So jump on, have a look at us chatting. And look, every Friday night or every post-Sharks match, we will try and do a debrief, and we'd like fans to dial in. So please do dial in and leave us some comments. And look, we've got a few watchers coming in now. So anyone who wants to say good day to us in the comments, please do so and let us know what's going. But yes, the first cab off the rank of this week's big news for the Sharks fan was buoyed by the Friday night win over the Warriors. Sharks fans have worked a news story in the Sunday papers of a $5 million donation from Sharks fan Michael Dorrell of global investment powerhouse Stone Peak. So what is Stone Peak, you ask? Well, don't confuse it with Stone Street, for starters, the up-and-coming Sharks winger. Stone Peak is an American investment company based out in New York City. It's actually the new Hudson Yard district. It's at the end of the High Line, a very trendy and cool area of a town. I can tell you buildings in that part of town are not cheap. His business is currently valued at $61 billion. Just in 2022, it was at $15 billion. So he's had a good couple of years. They invest in real estate infrastructure assets, having just spent $3 billion on 6 or so projects in Asia. All of these guys, their decision-making, these guys do not make sense. They don't make mistakes, and they are serious big business. So their CEO is Michael Dorrell, a former Shire resident. His father used to teach at Port Hacking. And it just follows a trend, really, of our society of successful individuals from the private sector supporting worthy public community projects. And what a give back to the community in the Shire that this is. Michael Dorrell, on behalf of the ET Stand, thank you for making such a great contribution to the club in which we all love. Hopefully your business triples in value and you can make some more donations, because that would just be great. What does this actually, but let's break this down and look at it from a business perspective, because that's what we like to do on the ET Stand, and we'll cross and ask the boys in a second. But look, for me, it's a strategy that I've been thinking is good for a couple of years. You know, how can you find someone with obscene wealth who can just help fund the community project that is a Shark, but not just to fund them? Like, you just don't accept a $5 million donation from someone. You have to have an element of professionalism and what you can actually do with that money. The benefits of this intangible bonuses around the club. It's not a salary cap. Doesn't mean that we can suddenly go, buy Reece Walsh from the Broncos because we've got more money. We're already spending the salary cap. And so it shouldn't be used to spend money on, new goalposts. The question we should be asking is how can we use this money for some form of sustainable future project or some sort of money earning capability that sets us up for the future? Is there something that we can use on a stronger leagues club proposition? I, for one, believe in the 94 Cronulla Street investment for the Sharks. I feel the Sharks are well placed to capitalise on property developments within the Shire, more so than anyone else. And if we lock up our money in investments in property, it means that future CEOs and future board members can't waste the money, which has happened to the Port Sharks in the past. I, for one, am pretty excited about it. I think it just lifts us up a little bit and gives us a bit of a shot in the arm. And so I'm actually going to New York in a couple of weeks. So Michael Dorrell, coming for you. I'm looking forward to watching a Sharks match with you and trying to get you on the ET stand so you can help us decide if Ben Barber from 2016 was better than the Peach. Chris Kelly, give us your reaction, mate. That's a diatribe from Boldo. How are you feeling about $5 million into the coffers?
Yeah, not too bad, $5 million. Like it's not a life-changing thing for the Sharks, but obviously for a club that's struggled financially for a while, it's a massive boost. I like the fact that it's come aligned with, even though it had nothing to do with, it's come aligned with that round one game in Vegas, where I sort of said the opportunities might come and knock it. And then, layman's, the normal sort of rugby league fans will think, well, New York, we had a game in Vegas, all of a sudden there's money coming in, it must have worked. So I like that kind of alignment that's had with the NRL, but hopefully it gets put to good use. I know with the guys we've got in charge at the moment, it's not going to get wasted. It's not going to get spin at the One or a Chairman's Lounge function. So pretty
Let's
excited.
talk of the One coming back. Buzz Rothwell
yeah.
was talking about it. He must have been watching our ET stand podcast.
I reckon he is. I reckon he's probably. He looks like a guy who would have one entree per person. So we'll always invite Buzz to our Lazy Susan and see if he wants to have a chat. But hopefully it does bring on a One. That's all we want. We just want a One.
Fair enough. All right. Well, the man who would boo Santa, the man who doesn't believe we should have a Monty Porter stand, Franco. Is there anything we should be worried about thinking about this $5 million donation? What is your call out, my good friend?
Yeah, look, I mean, $5 million is $5 million. I'm super pumped, super happy, and thank you very much for donating it to the Sharks. It's certainly a very valuable cause, in my opinion. But as Kelly mentioned, it's not going to change the world. It's not going to suddenly turn us into the Roosters. It's something that we need to look at closely. We, don't have a great track record before the current board and executive team. I think, I'm a bit more comfortable with this group getting a donation like that. And that could be a reason why we haven't seen this sort of thing in the past. I know personally, and maybe a lot of other fans have thought the same thing. If they struck it big some way, somehow, donating to the club that they love.
Oh, we've all thought about what happens if we win Powerball. How much does it need to be? And how we buy in the Sharks. Who hasn't thought about it?
It'd always be a donation. It'd be always a donation.
I wouldn't want to buy the Sharks. I wouldn't want to buy the Sharks. But I always thought, if I was to donate to the Sharks, I would be putting, say, $10 million into an investment fund that they can't touch, but the interest goes directly to the club. That way, they're not going to blow it. That way, that lump sum is there. It's safe. It's secure.
That's why I like 94 Cronulla Street, Franco.
Yeah, it's a great idea, right?
It stops future clubs from future boards and future executives from doing that. I think it's such a
good idea. So I guess on 94 Cronulla Street, we spent about $7.5 million buying that property. So $5 million is kind of close enough around there to look at other property if we wanted to replicate that.
Jolly Rogers.
Well, by Jolly Rogers. I think there's a few properties down that strip mall if we wanted to go in the same location. We do have, at least as part of the last financial report, we do have about $8 million cash in hand. So with this, it bumps us up to about $13 million cash between, cash in hand and investments. The Karela Golf Club, we were able to secure that with $4.5 million. So that's under the $5 million. Again, Do we look to amalgamate with another club? I do kind of like that idea of
I
finding
like
other
that
clubs
idea.
around
Good
the
call.
Shire. The Karela Golf Club's doing really well for us. It's brought in just over $1 million, or just under $1 million. Sorry, the last financial year. So that's doing really well. That's hitting hard. I wouldn't be spending any of that money on football club activities. Zero money there. We lost about $500,000 there in the last financial year, and we get $19 million grant from the NRL every year as well, right? So that's going to waver and maybe slowly start to get better than that. You have your good years, you get better merch sales or better attendance. I wouldn't be spending money there at all. We've got the case that if we do spend and invest it wisely, that the fruits of that investment can then be spent on football club. I wouldn't be spending the $5 million donation on that at all. We obviously know we've got the renovations still to be completed, the fit out. There's been some big numbers thrown around there to what is required to get that done. I know we took out a loan from St George Bank fairly recently to secure that. Maybe we soften the blow there and use it there to sort of start off with a clean slate. But ultimately, I think invested either in real estate or in amalgamating, picking up another club somewhere in the Shire would be a strong option.
All right, Williams is going to take us through past benefactors and legends who have helped the Sharks.
Before I quickly touch on that, I'll just chat and maybe throw a counter argument to you. So one of the statements that Mr. Dorrell did say is we don't want to wait another 50 years for a premiership. Obviously, we're in the best financial position, touch wood, that we've been with all these wise investments, which is good. So obviously, it's a donation from him, as we're caveating, not or delineating, not from Stone Peak. It's from him himself. I wonder if being an initial, I suppose, donation this is from at meeting number one, I suppose, the first meeting he's reached out to the Sharks, whether there's anything further from there, whether there's any request from him regarding that. Obviously, on-field performance, he takes, I suppose, puts a high priority on. So I'm not sure. We've been talking a while ago, I think it was on the ScoMo, about a centre of excellence. You look at what the West Tigers and the Concord Council or whatever it was, or the put in, that was tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars into that fancy facility there, which is just crazy. Anyway, taxpayer, local government money towards that. And if that's what the Tigers have got, and we've got our old gym with Flano's boxing ring that he went and picked up from eBay a few years ago, it's something we need to keep pace on. I know, I agree. I don't want us to, I want to have a team to support to begin with, and putting money into investments will help secure that. But we still need to redirect some money towards the football club too if we want to be an establishment. The other part too we haven't touched on too much is the stadium. That is going to be the biggest issue that will, if there's anything going to stop us staying in the Shire, that'll be it. What we bandied around tens of millions is worth. You look at Penrith, it's $300 million to redo that ground. I'd say we'd be similar, and we're so hemmed in. But if we're going to stay in the Shire, a lot of work needs to be done there. I don't know, I'm dreaming big, but it's an infrastructure company. It's like, okay.
You are dreaming big, Williams, and I think we just spoke. It's $5 million. It's not $10 million. It's not $100 million.
That's what I'm saying.
So you've got to spend it wisely.
You do have to spend it wisely, and I think that the leadership or the ownership model as well. So it's a donation from him. He's obviously got the capacity potentially to come in and do for want a better term, tinkler, if he wanted to do that. But I don't think that's the model we're after. We've all talked about what we do if we win Powerball. How would we do it? I think you need to maintain that core membership base. We can't go Premier League style where you've got big conglomerates or Middle Eastern sheiks who are just taking full charge of the club, because then you end up almost with a basketball or an American sports style setup too, where they buy the franchise and go, you know what, I'm going to up and move it to wherever because I want to.
I'll make more money with the club if it's over here.
Exactly. Or do a tinkler and go bust and leave the club in the lurch and a stuffed salary cap for years afterwards. So it's something we have to, I think it's very exciting and surprising news. It is only $5 million. If it's more, wow, that's that gravy train we're after from that benefactor or that kind of someone with money that loves the club. It seems like he's genuine. It seems like he loves the club. It seems like he's got a long-standing, lifelong connection with the club, unlike some other people. ScoMo.
Don't diss on ScoMo on my channel, Williams. He loves
I
going,
think
mate.
I think you make a good point, Williams. In it's a nice investment or a nice donation, but is there more? I think you've got to be very careful with the is there more, right? That was very generous. I think we should assume that there's no more.
No.
You should assume there's no more. If more comes, then great. But you mentioned the rich benefactors that come in and do a tinkler. I think that's pretty much what happened with Russell Crowe, right?
Well, no, Russell
he
Crowe,
donated
he was
some
donating money.
He donated some money. Yeah, he
And then got
donated
the
money to
shit.
South, and they got exactly. They kept
He just
coming
like
back asking for
every
more.
time
more.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, if you're going to waste all my money, I may as well
Might as well just
buy
buy
the
it.
club and run it the way that I think it should be ran.
Yeah, Crowe and Holmes are caught, 51% buyout, so they had a controlling share. And then you're right, they got annoyed with it too. It's not something to make money. I don't think, like running an airline, you're never going to make money out of running a sporting team. Yes, we have to, I suppose, accept there's going to be no more, take it for what it is and go, wow, move on. Yeah, I think this gentleman by far is the most wealthy individual to ever show interest in the club.
Who else have we got? Williams on that list.
So you raised Craig Airy, who was obviously from the Damien Keogh days. Looking back previously, John Dunphy was a very well-known benefactor who was from Shimano fame. And then not too much, obviously, you got Peter Gow, who was involved in the club. I'm not sure how much of his own funding he did put in there. He obviously sponsored through Miranda and Sydney Hi-Fi and was him and Damien Irvine, and I suppose you'd say the current leadership are the three, I suppose, pillars, the Mount Rushmore, if you're going to call it that, of Sharks leadership throughout the years. They're the ones that have kept us going. I'd actually argue that Dino and Steve Mace were very lucky with the shape that they inherited after the Damien Keogh and then before that Damien Irvine eras. So that's more leadership rather than benefactors. But there's been an awful lot of people who have donated to the club over the years, who have sponsored the club, but nothing in the realm of the, I suppose, a $5 million donation like this, and nothing in the realm of the fact that it is just a donation. It's a very wealthy and obviously incredibly successful individual going, hey, I want this club to succeed. This is my club. We want another premiership. There's that. There's obviously the infamous Clint Elford in 2009, which was the insurance fraud scandal where that was one of the first things that one of our good friends, Ryan Gagan, quick shout out to him, was on the group chat saying on Sunday, have we not forgotten that guy? I think this guy is, if you can be a universe apart from the Clint Elford scandal, this is it. At the same time, too, though, you've got to look at what is and go, okay, it is $5 million, but it's not life-changing. Thank you very much. Let's put it to good use. Clint Elford on that, I did a bit of research. I'm not sure where he is these days. There was a report on one of the forums that he is actually no longer alive. So condolences to his family if that is the case. We don't want to make light of that, but obviously that was he and his parents, I believe, got found guilty of insurance fraud back in 2009, which was a sordid.
Way to put a dampener on the podcast, Williams. We just got given $5 million, and you're like talking about that.
Well, before we started, I suppose, joking about Clint Elford, which we have, and we will joke about 2009 many other occasions, that's the very bottom tier, if we're going to use tiers, the bottom tier of benefactor stories that the Sharks have had, and this is the top tier. I'm very excited, but that's basically the history. Do any more come to mind for you, Baldo? I couldn't mind. There's an awful lot.
I'm a lot of time for Craig Airy, for me, Williams. I think he is an unheralded hero from the Sharks era of the premiership win, and I don't
Didn't Jeffrey Edelston try and buy the Sharks?
That's a really good point.
Way back when he tried to buy them, he had a big
Probably
fanfare. They rolled out the A-list players to do the photo op, and
I don't recall that at all. I'll have to look that up.
Turned out the coffers were bare. Yeah,
we'll do a history segment on that week.
Pretty interesting
All
story.
right, well,
could read that one, mate.
We spent enough time on.
Like in 2024.
Oh, God, you guys. All right, go, Kelly. We'll keep. I guess it is $5 million.
Let him talk.
It is a lot of money.
It's a big news.
One little
We
comment.
spent half the show talking about it. All right.
Living, and we're like, oh, $5 million. It's not massive. It's $5 million. Like that's
$5
still a big
million.
amount of money. That someone just said, you know what? I like you guys. Here you go. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah, we can give the ET Stand podcast $5 million. Just imagine how good the graphics will be then.
I can get a ring light.
All right, well, let's bring in
graphics.
Chris's lag.
we can fix Chris's lag. All right, well, we'll boot out Franco. We'll bring in Lats, and we'll go, man, this is the longest you've ever had to wait to get to this team show.
Sorry, mate.
I'm chomping at the bit.
Confident a bit. All right. Now I just realised that I think I've stuffed up the way it's laid out for your segment too, actually. So we'll try and do that. So, Lats is going to talk us through the social media roundup. Oh no, it is going to work. Look at that, you beauty. Lats is going to talk us through the social media roundup and the take. And what was the people's reaction to the $5 million, Latsy?
Mate, massive. Wow, $5 million. Best surprise I've woken up to on a Sunday morning in a week. We'll leave that for another time slot. There's been a lot of relief and positivity around this extremely generous donation, with fans hopeful some of the funds will be poured into the Leagues Club build and the stadium upgrade in the hopes to bring that opening of the club forward. There's also plenty of sceptical fans in regards to large donations given our history in that department, as Williams touched on a moment ago. But majority has been positive. There's been plenty of praise for the board, especially Dino and Steve Mace, for making this happen. It just goes to show that the club's in great, capable hands and professional hands going forward. And up. Let's go. $5 million. Giddy up.
All right, let's get it on. Let's put it on the Sharks this weekend, shall we? All right, what else is going on in the socials, Lats?
All right, mate, there's been big raps across the socials with that effort against the Warriors. Plenty of disbelief that we actually won a round one match, let alone the manner and the location that we did. I noticed after about halftime, we've bought no one and nothing will change movement were very quiet, as too were the Talakais and a centre crew. The first 20 minutes of that game was a different story, though, given that shaky start. But luckily, the boys turned things around and got the job done. There were some very happy supporters with Nico's defence over that final quarter of the match. Also with Talakai's strong running game, Will Kennedy's efforts at the back, and a lot of praise for Jack Williams, actually, in his 100th game performance. Everyone thought he was pretty strong, dropped the ball, but was pretty solid otherwise. There were plenty of disgruntled fans in regards to the hip drop on Talakai, though. A lot believed that should have been cited, and pretty pissed off fans that nothing happened about it on the field, let alone the NRL. There was also a lot of excitement around AFB's performance and what he's going to bring to the club next year. Beast, absolute beast. That try, no one was going to stop him. What about some of those damaging runs? He was throwing blokes off, like strong blokes, like unbelievable. Get him here earlier. Mike Dorrell, talk to AFB and get him here earlier. Surely we can make that happen this year. The question was
everything we just said in the last segment about how the money should
just this one. All right, that's all we need. That's all we need. The missing link. The question raised in one of the Facebook groups, who gets dropped when Hamanueli is fit for return? With majority of people stating that it should be Finucane, given his performance and the amount of time he spent off the field. However, it'll probably be Oregon Kaufusi, and there are also a few votes for Royce Hunt after those handling errors on Friday night, which I think is a tad unfair to judge him off that one game, given how strong he was in that All-Stars match.
Anyone in the comments section want to offer a player up who they think they should be dropped? Williams, quickly. Who do you think would you drops for
It'll be
Hamanueli?
Kaufusi or Hunt. I know my brother did suggest Finucane being dropped, and I quickly pulled him into line on Saturday when I saw him at a family event. I don't think you can drop Finucane with that level of experience. I think it's tough on Hunt because he is so better than he was. Still, it wasn't his best performance.
I think that this week's team list shows that too, given Hunt drops back to the bench for Rudolph and Kaufusi starts. Yep. So that looks like that's the way it's going to head.
Rudolph provided a lot off the bench, and I'm not sure. Hopefully it translates to at the start, but I thought he was so good coming off the bench, just adding a point of difference. It was almost like he was a different player.
Yep. Huge. Those forwards really that came off the bench really turned the game. They were massive. The question was also asked, should we possibly make a play for allegedly disgruntled centre/winger these days in Zach Lomax, which was quickly shut down by most, and I did choose an unfortunate picture of him for comedy purposes.
I like Zach Lomax. I think he'd be good.
I think
to be honest,
Newtown would love him, but where does he fit? Where does he fit?
Where's he get on your tiers, Bolro? Where would you put
exactly?
I think he plays the very important position, which we've established. Wins his premierships. The Gerard Beale, number 14.
Well, he's unhappy being a winger. I don't think he'd be happy being 14.
I don't have a solution.
He's a pretty good goal kicker, solid defender.
He's a better goal kicker than what we've got.
Prolific try scorer. I don't think we'd pay him anything near what he would command. But
700 is he on or something? I've seen
pushing 800. Pushing 800.
Yeah, no.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, and finally,
what's this NRL 360 thing? I'm not sure what that is.
There was some pretty pissed off fans in the forums. Not surprised, but pissed off with that we barely received a mention on NRL 360 last night, given how strong and resilient we were in Auckland last Friday night and our $5 million cash injection. To be honest, I'm good with it. I like flying under the radar. Years ago, I would have done anything not to be mentioned on that show, or in the media in general. So it's all good there.
You personally, or the Sharks?
Personally.
Not that I care, but what's happened to Braith Anasta now that Paul Kent's back? Has Anasta punted?
No,
I think he's still licking his wounds from that 2001 match that you profiled on him just last night, Williams.
Expert
I
commentary.
think Gordy was the scapegoat. I think Gordy was the one that got shuffled out, wasn't he?
Yeah, probably. Not that I care.
All right, well, thank you, Lats. That was the week in socials. We will boot that off the screen. We'll bring us back over here. Let's see if I can quickly transition to that. And then Lat. Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
And as we head in, this is our preview for the Sharks versus Bulldogs, week 2. And our man on the ground, where is it? Chris Kelly's going to take us through the team list. Here we go.
What a fantastic looking graphic, guys. That's awesome. Someone's done some hard work on that. So obviously our team's pretty much set. It's the only one that was changed there, like we mentioned, Toby, for Royce Hunt. Obviously that's in regards to we made the change after playing the Warriors with such a big pack. The change of the Dogs is obviously our man Connor Tracy playing on the wing to replace Josh Adokar, who injured his shoulder. And that's about it. Pretty much the same team that played Parramatta on the weekend. No other changes. So obviously we're going in favourites for this game. $1.35 to the Bulldogs, $3.10. Please gamble responsibly. And not much else to report on that for those teams.
Who's Craig Fitzgibbon Pie? Is he 3.4 something?
He's on the pie. He's on the pie.
I also know
There's always one.
I did correct a couple of your typos on this sheet, actually, Chris, but I didn't see that one. But I think
there
that
was no pie. There was no pie on there.
I think he's a private investigator.
Well, let's looking at
PI.
this. Let's just look at this match. So as the Sharks head into this match, look, we know that Sharks are renowned as a club for just playing teams into full. We also know that we sometimes take teams a little lightly. But look, I just feel like that match coming out against Shark Park, surely the team's pretty pumped up. We're full strength. We played the Bulldogs a couple of weeks ago. We got past them. Williams, what can you tell us about? You watched the Bulldogs match the other night. Well, I don't know much about this Drew Hutchinson.
Yeah, well, Chris Kelly can talk about Drew Hutchinson being the former Rooster that he is, but before I throw to you, he is a utility. They've got playing halfback essentially with Matt Burton, 6, 7, whatever jersey they're playing on. I suppose Hutchinson's the first receiver and Burton's the second. Burton's got the kick. I did go to Parramatta Stadium the other night. My son Ronan was playing under 6s at halftime, which was awesome. I do have some footage of him scoring, or basically running the length and then putting the ball down before the line, unfortunately, because it was his first game he ever played. It was a great weaving run, side point. But Bulldogs,
very
they did turn up.
Mistake to make.
Yeah, he loved it though, and he owned it straight away. But the Bulldogs, they were hitting hard. It was an intense battle for the majority of the first half. What I think it was only 6-0, 8-0 for majority, and then the Eels scored a late try just before halftime to blow it at 14-0. What I was impressed about with the Bulldogs was when they completed, they were putting good kicks downfield, and their defence was willing. They forced a few errors of the Eels. I think Crichton, I heard today, only got 5 touches, so that's criminal given that right edge of, well, they got Burton kick out, Crichton, they need to move it out there a lot more. He did get a try late in the match, and so did Blake Wilson as well. So I think the Bulldogs, they've improved a lot. That trial did show that they've got a lot of intent and intensity in looking at that forward pack. I mean, Reid Marnie's a very serviceable hooker, previously did good stuff for the Eels. Drew Hutchinson, I don't want to put the knock on him, but he's not an out-and-out halfback. So if you can shut down the halves, I think you shut down the service they'll give to the back line. But they do have a much better team this year. I think you cannot take them lightly.
Say that every year about the Bulldogs.
No, this year that they're different. They had a different intensity to them. I think having kick out back, Preston there, Jamin Salmon, sure. But I don't know. I thought maybe Parramatta weren't offering much. I'm not sure, but the Bulldogs seem to have a certain commitment about them, a certain intent about them. So I think we'll win, my prediction, but I think it'll be closer than we think. I think it'll maybe 12 points. And I think
Williams is saying, you're saying 12 points.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe that's the negative Nancy in me, but I think we cannot play them back into form. I'll cover a bit of their history too. So we've got a really good recent record against them. Overall, we played 99 matches, only 41 wins, 2 draws, 56 losses. But over the last 10 years, we've had 14 matches, 11 wins, 3 losses. The last loss was at Cogra, which we do remember not so fondly for the Talakai shoulder charge and sin bin, and Mawini Hiroti unfortunately dropping the ball at winger 3 times, I suppose, because it was difficult to convert that. It was Trent Barrett's first win as a coach.
And he's still celebrating.
He's still celebrating. He was actually on the coaching staff for Parramatta. I'm pretty sure he was still chuffed from that round, whatever it was, 2021 win. Can
we just cross to Lats though? I guess he is itching at the bit to comment on the socials on how the Bulldogs are talking themselves up.
Mate, they are ridiculous. They haven't stopped blowing their own trumpet about how good their line defense was the other day against Parramatta. They lost by 18 points. For Christ's sake.
They conceded 4 tries. The Eels had a lot of ball in their line, but so better than previous years. And I know it was Gordon Tallis, I think, said the other day that Bulldogs team would have beaten the last year's Bulldogs team by 20 points, but they still lost by 20 points essentially to the Eels. So, they've got an inflated sense of importance, aura, history, whatever you want to call it. I think Gus will stick eventually. I think it's going to be like the Panthers thing. We were joking about them for years going, the Gus 5-year plan, the Gus 5-year plan.
And then
I can't see this
game good.
But I think the Bulldogs are too good a team, and with Gus and others behind him. Serraldo, the jury's still out of him as a coach. I think he's an excellent assistant coach, but that head coach conversion, not so sure. Also operating under Gus is different as well. I think there's a Gus factor. Maybe if Gus moves on, it'll be like Penrith and they'll just explode. But looking at the further history past from there, we last lost to them at home in 2011. And we last lost before that most recent loss in 2021, in 2019, when we scored famously 3 tries to 2. Everyone's talking about Chad being in origin contention, and he blew it with, I think, a 3-on-1 overlap and put a grubber in late on to lose 14-12. And then before that, the last loss before that was a 42-4 loss in round 2 of 2014. So we do have a very good recent history against them. What that means, not sure. As you said, we're great at playing teams back into form. If we play like we did for the first 20 minutes last week, we're in trouble. If we play like the next 60, different story.
I'll beat anyone. Lats. All right, so Williams is picking a Sharks win. Lats?
Mate, I think we win by 14. I think Trindle will be man of the match and Katoa first try scorer. I just look at that Bulldogs team and I can't see... On paper, they look amazing. They haven't had the time to gel. There's a lot of individuals there. Give it another year, maybe. They might be all right, but I can't see them doing much this year. I think they're going to finish actually pretty close to the bottom.
One thing I will note about the Bulldogs, I'm talking about their line commitment, their line speed, their line defence. Their wingers weren't dropping back. The Eels kept turning around. I think they got 140-20, a few other close run things, where on usually, traditionally third, fourth tackle, you'll drop back. Moses was kicking on the fourth and finding no one back there. So try and exploit that.
Fair enough. Chris, did we get your tip?
No, you haven't got my tip yet. I haven't gone through the Bulldogs, my little bit on last week's team, or last week's game with them. But, yeah, I've talked about in the off-season, their team's a bit skew-whiff still. I think they've got a few options they've got to play with. I happened to watch the reserve grade game between Parramatta and the Bulldogs before it, which was a 36-34 shootout, where one of the Eagles players had 5 tries in the first 30 minutes of the game. But Toby Sexton was the halfback for the Dogs and man of the match, and he was unbelievable. So I think he'll be breathing down Drew Hutchison's neck before we know it. I touched on it before. They've bought that many utilities. I know Blake Taft dropped an absolute sitter again in the first half. So, the Crichton, who's on fullback money, might be pushing him. But like we said, I think they're using him for that defensive sort of presence, because the Eels had 95% completion in the first half and 70% of the ball, and they put up 14 points. So maybe they ran out of gas, the Dogs, in the second half. I know Addo Carr, after 20 minutes, was pretty much bust and held on for 20 more minutes, and then that was it. He was done. So
it was very hot. It was still 32
very hot
degrees.
Day. Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. So Oh, I'm saying Sharks again by 8 is my prediction again. I'm like you guys. I don't think we're ready to blow the doors off a team yet. It's still early in the season where teams are up and not tired and not injured. So I'll be happy with an 8-point move on with 2 points and on to the next game.
All right. Well, we'll say farewell to Williams for a little bit, and we'll get Franco in for his tip. Give us a quick tip, Franco.
Oh, look, I think we'll win. I'm always, at least for a few more years, I think going to be scarred by that 2020 match when they're at the bottom of the table and pipped us. But yeah, I think we're up. I think maybe 8 points.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I am also picking that the Sharks will win. And so currently the ET stand tipping comp for tipping Sharks matches only stands at Boldo, Lutz and Kelly on 1, Franco and Williams, donut. So I will continue to be in the lead next week in equal lead. So that will be good fun and lucky for me. All right, let's head over to the next segment. We will go around the league with Christopher Kelly. Mate, take us what's happening. Any call-outs from anything non-Sharks that we might remotely care about?
Yeah, there's nothing too much going on in the league at the moment. Like we said, we sort of missed the ball on 360 there with no sort of results getting talked about or even our injection of the $5 million. I suppose the main thing out of yesterday and also tonight was the racial vilification hearing that with Spencer Leniu. He obviously got 8 weeks. JT came out to it should have been 12 and probably a little bit stronger. Paul Kent fired up tonight on 360 and said it should have been probably 2 to 4. No one kind of argued of where it should sit and where it was, but obviously that was the outcome that's happening. There might have been a bit of conspiracy theory there because if he had 7 weeks, the Roosters and Broncos actually play in 7 weeks' time. So everyone thinks he got 8 to avoid that matchup and possible fireworks on the field again. So we think that's what the thing is. The only other article that came out on the weekend was an interesting one about Buzz Rothfield and Brent Reid talking about teams now under the rules have to spend 95% of their salary cap towards their first grade team, and it's probably blowing out a few people's salaries. There was discussion tonight, obviously, and I noticed the week on my Supercoach score with Jason Tomalolo, who's still on a $1 million 10-year contract, and he played 21 minutes in a match, and he's still got 3 years left to run on that contract at $1 million a year. So I don't know what maybe it was Todd Payton shaving off his beard and not looking like me anymore. He's not being so wise, or he's saying he's wrapping him up in cotton wool for the back end of the season, which we'd hate to hear about. But other than that, there wasn't too much else. Yeah, but you're paying a guy $1 million. I think you want him out there, and that's not even Nico Hines money. So you'd want him out there.
I think that's right. Lats, any commentaries on the around the league stuff from you, mate?
Mate, I just thought it was a very interesting round, a long round, longest round one in history.
Like it went for 2 weeks.
I know, it's crazy. I think you'd have to be an absolute genius / psychopath to pick the perfect round this week. I think Ticketek website was down all day yesterday due to Dragons fans snapping up grand final tickets. Bulldogs blowing their own trumpet over an 18-point loss. Huge statement from Melbourne, downing the reigning premiers without
Melbourne looked good.
Cameron Munster. Mate, I thought they did. I think they're going to be right up there this year. Chris Kelly ordered from Wish, aka Todd Payton, shaving off the beard and firing up his Cowboys earlier this year. And lastly, best start to a season in club history by the Tigers with a round 1 bye. Giddy up, how good.
They're in their perfect spot where they like to be, 9th.
Oh, 9th, there you go.
It's a perfect marriage in the NRL.
They're so good at finishing 9th, aren't they?
They're the best team at finishing 9th. It's either wooden spoon or 9th. There's no in between.
Oh, God, that is so funny, isn't it? No, never mind. All right, Franco, you got anything for us from around the league? Anything you witnessed or saw? Any commentary takes?
Sure. I guess last week our juniors did really well. Back to earth this time. They got beaten. That said, the Jets also got beaten. However, our flag team, I think, is going to be a really strong team this year. They got up. Gabriel, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Gabriel moved up from SG Ball into flag, continued to try scoring ways, scored 2, set up 1. So again, he's proving to be good. Acquisition for the swap deal with Tracy. I think that's pretty good. They're pretty happy with that.
Fair enough. All right, well, that was Around the League with Mr. Kelly. Moving on to our next segment. We've been talking about this for a while. Wednesday, 13th of March, 8 p.m, ABC, the ET stands undisputed heavyweight trivia champion puts all of his reputation on the line on national television on the hard quiz with his favorite subject, the Cronulla Sharks. The question is, boys, how is he going to go? Franco, I'll start with you. What is going to happen when our good friend Matt Williams goes on the Tim Hart quiz?
Hopefully they're not asking any questions about Edelson, as we've just discovered he knew nothing about that. He's up against some heavy hitters there. He's up against a Mulan expert, a roller skates expert, and a Doja Cat expert. So I don't know who's going to be the highest threat there.
What the hell's a Doja Cat?
A Doja Cat.
There's a Doja Cat.
I think it's for now's pet cat.
Oh, right.
You need to Spotify that photo, Doja Cat.
Yeah.
Right, cool.
Have a listen. I mean, we've seen him perform. He's pretty good. He knows his stuff. I've only ever watched one hard quiz, and from the safety of my couch, I won that episode. Just quietly, one of the experts was a Transformers fan, so I was able to cash in on that one.
Goodness. That would have been pretty good.
Yeah, it was. Hopefully I can do the same with this one, but hopefully Williams does better than I do and he comes out with the win.
Fair enough. All right, Franco's predicting a win. Chris Kelly, what's going to happen to Williams on the hard quiz tomorrow night?
I'm more excited to see when he actually reveals his jersey and people go, "What is your subject?" And like just in pure shock that his subject is Cronulla Sharks and rugby league. So I'm quite excited about that. Williams knows his stuff. Look, I'm predicting. I'm positive. You know me. I think he's going to be the minor premier. I think he's going to be up there. He knows a lot. You've heard him rattle it off. I got high confidence in the guy. But I'm more interested in Boldo. What would be your subject for the hard quiz? If you went on there, what would be your niche?
Paul's hamburgers.
My niche would probably be Survivor Seasons 0 or 1 through 20. Yeah. Richard Hatch, Colby, Boston Rob, Big Tom, Parvati. Pretty tough to beat on that subject. Would probably be my one. But to be honest, I think. Look, we will throw to you later for the final prediction. But I'm going to give my prediction. And this is what I'm going to say to you, Williams, is that you and I both know that I know more about the Sharks than you do. So therefore, I am extremely worried about your ability to perform on the hard quiz. And we all know that there is a Sharks-esque performance coming. You're going to lead. You're going to lead early. You're going to be ahead. It's going to be 14-2. We're all going to believe. We're all going to think Williams has taken this. There is no way that he can possibly lose from here. And then you're going to hear it from a distance. One of your pals is going to say, surely he can't lose from here. Sing the song now. And then we are going to hear, much like your favorite YouTube video on the ET Stand podcast, Sharks Finals Capitulations will be Matthew Williams getting the last 3 questions incorrect and breaking all of our hearts. That is my prediction. Lats, can you top that? Sorry, I should have gone last.
No, I can't, mate. This is going to be a massive letdown. I think it's all right. I'm used to it.
Or Williams,
mate. I think Matty will absolutely ace it. Having lost my off-season trivia belt to him at the start of this live season, I think he goes 100%, brings home the chockies, does it for the Sharks, does it for the Shire, and he gets the W.
And Sharks fans all
he's
around
talked
the world.
It up too much to fail.
Sharks fans all around the world are saying it's an omen. We'll win a premiership this year. Even the guy on the hard quiz one. All right, well, we'll just quickly say goodbye to Kelly and we'll bring Williams in for a response to those predictions without giving it away. Have you got anything to say about, well, look, we can obviously ask you questions tomorrow night on the debrief following you on the hard quiz. It is exciting, and I hope to God that you win. But if you don't win, I hope that it's a capitulation, much like the Sharks.
I'm not saying anything. I love your previews. I can't say any further than that. But for what's something that's been 18 months in the making, or was it August 2022 when I chucked in a speculative application to 6 months after that being, are you interested, to 6 months after that actually filming, to 6 months after that actually getting on air. It's all rather surreal. I wrote a lot of notes down because for fear of losing memory or whatever, it takes me an hour and a half to film a half an hour show. So it's really interesting what they cut in, what they leave out. My exact response to what Doja Cat was, I hope comes through tomorrow, because I did say what the F is Doja Cat.
What the F is that?
On air, it was in context. If they don't show that tomorrow, I'll explain the context as to the how and why in the early banter. But yeah, so we'll
Anyone
chat
in the
about
comments,
soon.
can you please tell us what a Doja Cat is?
Yeah, obviously
What is a
Kelly
Doja Cat?
and Lats know. I'm not sure about Franco. I know, yeah.
I know.
So you don't.
Have a
Okay,
listen.
Franco.
Have a
ahead
listen.
of me. So anyway, for those that haven't seen it, dial in. It's a really quirky show, even if you don't like Tom Gleason's humour, even though I've seen him live, and actually watching the show being filmed for an hour and a half, he is wildly inappropriate and hilarious, and that's what the whole show's about. His interaction with us as specialists, I suppose. The format is the specialist round first off, where you can steal each other's answers. The second round, some random multiple choice. The third round, some trivia. And then the fourth round is a penalty shootout style, really hard question. I'll see what... there's a comment that's come through there that we'll see if someone wants to put up.
Oh,
but yeah, it'll be surreal. We'll see how we go. Enjoy
I don't
the
know
ride.
what that
We'll
means.
see.
I swear I hate it when you guys have in-jokes that I'm not in. It's
It must be some kind of Doja Cat
I know when you
reference.
guys are doing it
It's
too.
a Doja Cat reference.
I'm more of an Einstein factor person, Williams. But hey, let's go. Let's bring on.
Well, is that
let's bring
show
the
still on
hard
anymore?
quiz.
Because I know some other people did Mastermind, all those things. But I mean, obviously, we've got Survivor would be Boldo's topic. Lats, what would yours be? If you had
Probably
a special-
luncheon meats or something random like that, mate. I think I'd top that after working at a
That'd be
deli
awesome.
for 15 years.
Well,
Well,
someone
given
did
that I
chop.
think, Williams, I would beat you on your top subject. And I think I would beat Franco on Transformers. I don't think I'd just take you guys on.
Well,
But anyway, we digress. Let's move
I've
on.
got
just
one more
on that,
question.
before-
I've got one
before-
more question.
yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
What's the third try on hard quiz, Boldo? What's the third try equivalent?
Not sure.
I guess
I've got no
Williams
idea.
ran through 4 rounds. Would you say winning the third round is the third try equivalent, or
Oh, it's like the
winning
third
your
quarter
personal
in the
topic?
AFL, isn't it? So if you're ahead at the end of the third quarter, then you're ahead. I don't
Yeah,
know.
after the second round, one person gets dropped off at the end of each round as well.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I'm
so-
reasonably confident you survived the first round, but we've got to stop there. We
No,
can't
no
give away
more.
spoilers.
No more.
No
I
more
will just leave
spoilers.
it. I'll leave it on this note. I am undisputed trivia champion, despite the fact that Boldo's regularly the one chucking out the questions. Boldo put me to the test before I went down
This
to
is
Melbourne to
true.
film, and I smashed him. I think
You didn't
Lats was
smash
also...
me. It was close.
Nah, I won is the point of the story. Franco was also putting me the test. I think we were sitting there on I think it might have been the Manly game, sunny Sunday afternoon at Shark Park, and you were
I
throwing
thought it was
questions
the
at me.
NRLW debut match.
It was. That was it. We played Canberra before that, and I don't toot my own trumpet, but I held my own. So we'll just say that.
Good to hear. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing Mr. Williams tomorrow night on the hard quiz. We will do a debrief show straight afterwards. Be a quick 25 minutes just to quickly get a download from you and taunt you or congratulate you. That will be next. All right. Let's move on to Overreaction Tuesday, where Lats throws a bunch of questions at me. I try to answer them quickly. And then Franco and Williams respond by telling me that I was absolutely wrong with my assessment. Latsy, let's take it away. Overreaction Tuesday.
All right, mate. I hate doing this to him, given it's his 250th game this week, but Finucane is done.
Overreaction. I've been saying this for weeks. Finucane will be back. He's too much of a class performer, class athlete. He's finding his way, his feet after last season injuries. He will find his way back into the team. At some point, we will need him. McInnes is frequently injured and frequently suspended. At some point, Finucane will need to play some minutes, and he will make you all believers one more time. Let's go, Finucane.
Alrighty. Sharks didn't win. Warriors lost in round 1.
I think that is not an overreaction. Let's not get too excited, Sharks fans. The Warriors were ahead by a lot. They made some crucial decision-making errors, such as not taking the 2 points when they should have. They spilled the ball when they shouldn't have. They also had their hooker, Egan, go off injured, which helped the Sharks a lot. we were a little bit fortunate. I think if that match gets played 10 times, the Sharks win 5, the Warriors win 5.
Very good. New rule tweaks are rubbish.
I don't think they're as bad as we think. We've been complaining about new rule tweaks for years, and you need to tinker and play with the rules at times. I don't think they're rubbish. I think some of them will be tweaked again and kind of worked out. I don't mind the dropout rule. I think that's quite good because we're encouraging that a little bit more. I don't like the bat back one. I think I know Franco doesn't like that one. What's the other one you don't like, Franco?
No, that's the main one. That's the
main one.
worst
The bat back one's bad, but the dropout one's good.
Just
And I don't
too much
mind them
grey in that.
penalising and policing the downtown. I think that's actually quite a good evolution.
Alrighty. Talakai is a centre, and that debate can be put to bed.
Oh, to bed. All of the Kale Lero fans, you can go back home and stop saying that Talakai is not a centre. He was an absolute beast, an absolute gun, and was the man of the match in my eyes. I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Talakai, clearly a centre. Just his speed and the way he gets up. He's just different type of centre to the rest of the league. And so I think it just makes him clearly the guy that we want. Williams, you can argue with me on that?
No, I was wrong. I'd take my hat off. It was Talakai's best game, I think, at centre ever. I think it was even better than his Morgan Harper Bath. He was just so good.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, next.
Nico didn't deserve 6 Dally M points.
No, that is not an overreaction. Nico was not the man of the match. It was either Talakai, Ronaldo, or Kennedy for mine. I thought those three were far more. But yeah, I think. G'day, Craig. Sorry, I didn't get any time to have a chat with you guys. Definitely keen to. Well, Craig, when you tell us who you thought was man of the match in the. Because we don't think it was Nico Hines. I certainly don't think it was Nico Hines. And I think it's just that kind of bias towards the halfback, which is why we do have the Bulldogs tiers where we kind of look at the players based on their position and their actual contribution. So I think, not an overreaction. Nico was not the man of the match.
On that, Baldo's constantly talking about how his Baldo Tears video is the highest watched ET stand video. I think all of us, if we had our own video that we plugged that much, would also have the same amount of views. So overreaction there.
Instead of mining bitcoins, Boldo's over there with his computer mining views for that video.
Hold your tongue on that one, boys. It might feature in a minute. Alrighty. Next, Mike Dorrell's donation doesn't happen if Volandis doesn't take the game to the US.
That is an overreaction. The Mike Dorrell donation was happening regardless of the Las Vegas trip and had absolutely nothing to do with that whatsoever. That is just a long bow that I don't think was actually the case. So, no, the Vegas trip had nothing to do with the $5 million that we earned. So, no. However, I do look forward to us going to the Cosmo next season when the Sharks get to play in Vegas. So it might help from that regard.
Just looking at Craig's comment here, Siffer or Will for sure. Will saved a couple of tries and Siffer saved us some coming off the line countless times. 100%. They were all up there for man of the match.
Yeah, it's definitely right, Craig. Definitely right.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know why it's just this kind of unconscious bias to just give the halfback. It's almost like they're not watching the match.
Yep.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to give ill will towards Ruan Sims, but she was a Dalian expert a little while ago who admitted she didn't watch the match and had allocated Dalian points.
There you go.
There's flaws. I think Laurie Daly also maybe was in that realm a while ago as well.
Alrighty.
Give everyone a score out of 10, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's better than this. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we know. Yeah, okay. Nat Latz next.
All right. And finally, boys, the most pressing and important statement in this segment. The Tears is the best segment on the ET Stand podcast, given it has the most views.
That is not an overreaction. That is just pure fact. We know that views mean views. And so the most viewed segment so far of the ET Stand podcast in our history is Boldo's Tears, despite the fact that Williams didn't understand what it was or the fact that there is a hierarchy that can move each week. It is the best segment. And we just saw the performance of Ronaldo Mulatalo, Will Kennedy, and Britton Nakora because they were not top of the tiers. and
I
Nico Hines.
do understand what it was. It's a ranking system, and when you're changing all of the variables, including the parameters they're measured against, the entire thing from a scientific or an engineering or a rational perspective is thrown out the window. It's just...
That's quite a good take. Yes, that's correct. But it is the best Sharks players. So we are ranking the best Sharks players. That is correct.
I
And
can
it is,
see
a,
what you're
it is
doing.
a fun segment. But we have a lot of fun segments on the ET stand.
I would like to see the statistics from YouTube at the end of the month, and I would like to see if there's any promotion going into that video financially whatsoever.
We want transparency. We want accountability.
We want to be top of the tiers. All right, fair enough. All right, well, that was Overreaction Tuesday. We will move on to our last segment, which is anything we may have missed. And let's bring in our good friend, Mr. Kelly, for the end of the show. I thought that was a pretty good show tonight, fellas. Anything we want to talk about before that we think we might have missed? We do this segment sometimes just in case there's something. Sometimes I'm hopeless host and don't let people talk and say what they wanted to say. So is there anything, Franco, that you wanted to say tonight that we didn't get in there?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You guys, I was not on the episode. You guys talking about the co-captains with McInnes and Finucane. The debate about whether you have two captains or just one is being discussed, but it was interesting that Hines was not a captain. Certainly did a lot of chatting to the ref during the game, and sat next to Fitzgibbon in the press conference. So that was I don't know what's going on there, what the idea behind that. I think some people Lats might be able to help me out there with the socials. People have been musing that it might be to release pressure and not put so much onus on Hines as the face of the club. But, certainly putting himself out there by chatting to the refs and sitting there in the presser. So any thoughts, guys?
I thought McInnes might have been off and Finucane were both off, perhaps, when he was talking to the referee at that time. I thought that might have been the case.
I thought Hines was talking to the referee early when McInnes definitely was still on.
McInnes was on. I'd noticed that, and I thought that was strange. And I thought maybe it's just because Cam's still a bit green in that captaincy role. Nico's filled in there a few times. And maybe just in regards to the presser, both the first game with both co-captains that played, you can't take two in with you. Maybe it was just didn't want to play favouritism and took Hines in. I don't know. But I definitely did notice.
McInnes must have had a knock or something, or missing a tooth, or
it could have been getting something checked out.
It just seemed odd behaviour to take Nico in. I thought that was odd too, Franco. And Craig, I do agree. The Nico does lose his cool quite easily. So, yeah, I just don't know why.
Is it because Nico's more marketable? He's got the media training. Maybe he's had more experience in the camera. I don't know. Maybe.
But all of that leads
although
to making
Finucane's pretty good at that.
Well, Finucane was involved last year, and is McInnes captain? No, he hadn't yet. But Finucane was involved. Finucane and Graham predominantly last year.
McInnes was captain of the Dragons.
He was, yeah. So he's obviously got media experience.
Yeah.
But yeah,
this is a good one that we missed. Chris, what else? Anything you wanted to chat about that we missed?
Well, I thought Franco would speak about everyone's favourite son of the Newtown Jets, Billy Magoulias, back playing 5'8" this week. So, our double champ, he's playing again for the Jets.
We love Billy Magoulias.
We all love Billy Magoulias. Whether he'll ever turn up in our first grade team, but what a champion. I still remember that chip and chase. And,
there were two, weren't there? Twice.
Yeah, double.
2 weeks in a row.
Hey, Craig, can you just answer us? Who do you think's better, Cam or Dale Finucane? Just interested to see what your answer is on that one, mate. All right, and we'll give Craig enough time to answer that question, and then in the meantime, Williams, what do you got for us?
One thing, big shout out to Franco. Absolutely, Jeffrey Edelston attempted to buy the Sharks back in the mid-'80s, 1986, and yeah, Franco had provided us some content there that, some great old articles we might be able to share on the socials or link. I think there's a Wikipedia link in there, but there's some great comments like New South Wales Rugby League being put out because they weren't given the courtesy of being informed that the Sharks were looking to get a private benefactor. The fact that Edelston owned the Sydney Swans at the time, and the fact that Edelston had no money was one of the big stumbling blocks, I suppose, there. But yeah, 1986 was when that occurred.
Nice one. All right. Well, that was the ET stand this week.
Craig, just before we go, who's better? Cam McInnes, Dale Finucane. Settle it now. Boldo's wrong.
While he's answering, I just want to say let's all take a mental note about how the press is jumping on the Sharks bandwagon, saying how we can beat top 8 teams and we can beat contenders and how good that is. Let's see what happens in 5 or 6 weeks if the Warriors are 9th. If the narrative changes or if it's going to be the same.
Of course it will.
At one stage, they're going to go off last year's gas and just try and replicate it. Like they are selling out crowds over there, but we've all seen it. The Cowboys did it before. They thought they're going to walk in the semi-finals last season and fell apart early on. So it'd be interesting. Here you go, Craig. Dale. Oh. Cam the better
look.
So for the Spotify listeners, Craig has gone with Dale.
As a better player,
right,
and he's got Cam the better captain.
Well, yes, fair enough.
Was
Up TV. Big up the lads. Was fan here. Your pack looks stronger this year and your defense seems to be consistent. Big push for final this year for you lads. Well to win and all the best for your season. Mate, well, all the best for your season.
What a legend.
Was Up TV. Just
That's
calling
awesome.
out.
Thanks,
We made the commentary earlier, Was Up TV, that we thought that I certainly thought if that match was played 10 times, I think the Warriors win 5 and the Sharks win 5. It was very, very closely well fought out. And when your hooker went in injured, I thought that was the kind of turning point for us. So, all right, well, look, the Sharks, we move on to play the Canterbury Bulldogs Friday night, 6 p.m. at Shark Park. I will certainly be there with most of these cronies in the ET stand. If you do see us there, do come down and say g'day, give us a hard time. Our next video will be tomorrow night following the hard quiz of Matt Williams. We'll do a debrief episode on that, and then we will aim to try and do a debrief somehow after the Sharks match if we recovered from singing the song when the Sharks go top of the table after 2 wins from 2. Thank you everyone for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe and like this video. It helps us so much with the YouTube algorithm. It's been overwhelming for us how many people are actually interested in watching the show and kind of all the positive feedback and stuff that we've gotten. So it's just something fun that we do as a group. We love talking about the Sharks and we'll always keep doing it. So do leave a comment. We'll be watching and replying, and we will see you guys tomorrow night. Up, Cronulla up.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.